Okay, hello, welcome to day 120, I believe, which should be, or it should have been the last day, but I'm just gonna go for the whole week, and then I'll probably end Friday, or I will end Friday, or definitely by Sunday, and then that'll be the start of the deload week where I won't post because I'll be not going to the gym. I'm just gonna be eating the same thing every day to try and find my maintenance, but it's like not even 2, it's like 3 something right now. So I'm having a ginormous breakfast, and I'm gonna have my oatmeal after this, which I'll put up, and then I'm just gonna work on catching up with the videos. But I was 170 point something today or this morning, so no surprise there. Just cannot get past 170 apparently. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else to say. So here's the macros for this breakfast, and here is the breakfast: 5 eggs, 84 grams of egg whites, 5 biscuits, bacon. So these are the last 2 pieces of turkey bacon, so I just did regular bacon for the last 2. But that's it for now. So I will see y'all when I am doing whatever I'm doing next. Goodbye. Okay, hello, welcome to dinner, which is pasta and chicken. I think I have enough stuff to make pasta one more time, and then I was gonna buy more turkey bacon and fruit, but I had insufficient funds, so I'll just wait until Wednesday to do that. So tomorrow's breakfast will probably be missing some stuff, but it's okay. But what else? I went to the gym, I hit legs. It was my first workout without pre-workout, and it definitely felt that way. But I need to take a tolerance break because I was needing to take too much pre-workout to get the same effect. So I'll probably wait a month or 2 before I start again. But what else? I think that's it. So here's the macros for this meal. Also, I did everything, stretch, cardio, all that stuff. And here is the pasta, which looks very good. And then there's the rest of the Parmesan cheese that I measured out for myself. And I think after this I might have a cookie or 2, because I love cookies. But other than that, that's it for now. So I will see y'all when I'm talking about what I read, which I have a lot to catch up on. So goodbye. Okay, hello, and welcome to today's reading, which was Samuel chapters 8, or 1 Samuel chapters 8 and 9. My eyes are burning to a crisp right now. But we'll start with chapter 8, of course, which is titled Request for a King. So it says that Samuel is basically in his old age now, and that his sons judge over Israel, and that his 2 firstborn sons, they don't follow his example. It says that they look to their own gain, and that they accept bribes and pervert justice. So they're kind of like Eli's sons, they're just up to no good. So the elders of Israel go to Samuel, and they're like, now that you're old and your sons don't follow your example, appoint a king over us like all the nations to rule us. And so Samuel didn't like this, but, instead of just telling him no, he prays to the Lord. And the Lord said, listen to whatever the people say. You are not the one they are rejecting. They are rejecting me as their king. They are acting towards you just as they have acted from the day I brought them up from Egypt to this very day, deserting me to serve other gods. Now listen to them, but at the same time give them a solemn warning and inform them of the rights of the king who will rule over them. So the Lord's basically saying, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting me, and they're just acting like they've always acted. So God's just he's just over it basically, and he's just give them what they want so they can see and learn. But he's being just or or what's the word I'm looking for? He's being merciful by basically telling Samuel to tell them what's going to happen if they do have a king. And so Samuel delivers the message of the Lord in full to those who are asking for a king. And he basically says, this king that rules over you, he's going to take your sons and, make them fight for him. He's going to take your daughters. He's going to make them perfumers, cooks, and bakers. He's going to take all your best fields, like all your best crops, and he's going to give them to his officials and his servants. He'll take your male and female slaves. He'll take your best oxen and donkeys and make them do his work. And he will make you like all his slaves. And then it says, on that day you will cry out because of the king whom you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you on that day. So he's giving them a very clear warning. And then the last part of this chapter is titled Persistent Demand. And they're like, oh, they just didn't listen to Samuel, and they said, no, there must be a king over us. We too must be like all the nations, with a king to rule over us, lead us in warfare, and fight our battles. And so Samuel listens, and the Lord said, it says, Samuel listened to all the concerns of the people, and then repeated them to the Lord. Oh my gosh, excuse me, thank you. The Lord said, listen to them. Appoint a king to rule over them. Then Samuel said to the people of Israel, return each of you to your own city. So the Lord's like, just give them what they want. And so the next chapter is titled Saul, which is, basically, there's this man from the tribe of Benjamin named Kish, and his son, not his son. There's this man, and his name is Kish, and he has a son named Saul, who it says was a handsome young man. There was no other Israelite more handsome than Saul. He stood head and shoulder above the people. So Saul basically mocks, okay? He just mocks everyone into oblivion. And so basically one day, Saul's father tells him that his son, Saul's father tells him that his donkeys have basically escaped. And so he tells Saul, take one of your servants with you and go out and hunt for the donkey. And so they're looking, and they can't find the animal. And then the servant says to Saul, let's go. He says the servant replied, because Saul wants to go back. He's like, let's just go back. Maybe my father forgot about the donkeys, and he's just getting anxious about us. But the servant replies, he says, listen, there's a man of God in this city, a man held in high esteem. Everything he says comes true. Let us go there now. Perhaps he can advise us about the journey we have undertaken. But Saul said to his servant, he basically tells him, like, if we go to this man of God, we have nothing to give him. And then the servant says, I have a quarter shekel of silver. If I give that to the man of God, then he'll advise us in our journey. And then it says here that in foreign times, when you wanted to consult a man of God, you would say, come, let us go to the seer. So the man of God is referred to as the seer for the rest of this chapter. And so Saul's like, okay, let's go, And then, on their way there, they meet this woman, and they ask her if the seer's in town, and she says yes. He's on his way to, like, this big dinner, but they won't start eating until he blesses the sacrifice. So if you go up now, you should find him. And so the next part of this chapter is titled Saul Meets Samuel. So Samuel is the seer. And so they basically find him, and it says, the day before Saul's arrival, the Lord revealed to Samuel, at this time tomorrow, I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin, whom you are to appoint as ruler of my people of Israel. He shall save my people from the hand of the Philistines. I have looked upon my people, their cry has come to me. So the Lord basically tells Samuel that this guy is going to come, that Saul's going to, come pull up on him, and that he's the one that he's going to appoint as the king. And so, when Saul meets Samuel, he's like, please tell me where the seer lives. And then Samuel's like, I am the seer. And then he invites him to the dinner. So he's like, go up and I'll tell you everything on your mind in the morning. So they go with him, and then Samuel tells Saul that the donkeys that they lost 3 days ago, he says not to worry about them, for they have been found. It says, whom should Israel want if not you and your father's family? So he's basically saying, like, he's giving him the invite here. And then Saul's like, no, it can't be me. I'm from the tribe of Benjamin. Like, we're the smallest tribe of Israel, because remember, the Benjaminites did some terrible things, and they nearly got entirely wiped out. So there was, like, only a small portion of them. So he's like, I'm from the smallest tribe of Israel. Is my clan not the least among the clans of the tribe of Benjamin? Why say such things to me? And so when they get to the meal, like to the place where they're having dinner, Samuel tells the cook, bring the portion I gave you and told you to put aside. So he like reserved a meal knowing that this was going to happen. And so then he gives it to Saul and he's like, this meal's for you. It was reserved for you. And then it says, when they came down from the high place into the city, a mattress was spread for Saul on the roof and he slept there. And then the last part of this chapter is called Saul's anointing. And so it says, at daybreak, Samuel called to Saul on the roof, get up and I will send you on your way. Saul got up and he and Samuel went outside the city together. As they were approaching the edge of town, Samuel said to Saul, tell the servant to go on ahead of us, but you stay here for a moment that I may give you a word from God. So he's like, send your servant on his way to go back home, but I have something to tell you. And that's where the chapter ends. So bit of a cliffhanger, but I think we all know what he's going to tell him. He's going to ask him to be the king of Israel, which is what they ask for. So this Saul guy is probably, he comes from humble beginnings, but he's probably going to turn evil later down the line or into a greedy king. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that part of the Bible or the part of the book of Samuel when we get there. But it's 2:54 a.m. I kind of want to keep playing games, but I also am kind of tired, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But that is it for today. So here's the macros for the day. And if you're watching this, I greatly appreciate it. And yeah, like if you want, comment if you want, subscribe if you want. Oh my gosh, excuse me. And I will see y'all tomorrow for day 121, I believe. Goodbye.